If you enjoy this content, please take a moment to rate and review it. Your feedback will greatly impact our ability to reach more people. Thank you. All right.
We're back.
We're back. How's your week?
It's pretty good. I had some friends in town for the week, which was fun. But out-of-town guests in town during the week it's fun to see everyone, but it's also, not my routine.
Yeah.
People came in town for Coldplay, which was good to see them. But then I was hosting and,
Boy, no one's heard about Coldplay in forever, and now,
I know.
I mean,
Everywhere.
I can't go a day without hearing about them five times.
I know.
Yeah, well, good for them. Good for them getting back on the scene.
Yeah.
I had a good week. Weekend spent with my oldest in North Carolina, which was awesome, and then came back, flew out to Salt Lake for the Celtic board meeting, and then back here. So a lot of time on airplanes, but good. Good.
Yeah.
Good overall. Great board meeting today for one of our portfolio companies. Love it when a portfolio company is literally doing every single thing they said they would do.
Doing everything.
You don't get those every day. So when you get one, you got to be very grateful for it. So that's awesome. And also had a good session with my primary care doc today.
Oh, good.
I actually love my primary care doc. He's wonderful. He's like half therapist, half primary care doc, and he's also kind of, medicine 3.0 Peter Attia, in terms of the way he thinks about things. So it's felt like on a show like Health Further, I should talk about how much I love my doctor.
Yeah.
I really do.
It's interesting. I met my doctor for the first time yesterday as well. I got a new doctor.
You got a new doc. Oh, okay.
Yeah, my doctor retired.
That's always hard.
Which was, just a hassle.
Yeah.
So for a while, I've been only working with my cardiologist because that's my primary thing I'm interested
Focused
in.
on.
But I need a PCP.
You need a PCP.
General.
Yeah. So what's your early read on the new
I
new
liked
doc?
him. He's a young guy at the Frisk Clinic, and it's not a concierge, but they do a pretty good job at Frisk Clinic over there. So
good. All right. Long show, and we're starting late in recording. So let's go ahead and dig in. Let's start with the tariff news. Trump is starting to land the plane on these tariffs. A deal was struck with Japan, so 15% tariff deal with Japan. And everyone seems to think that Europe will follow, and it will also likely land at 15%. So it seems like the objective is starting to clear, and there's some significant revenue that should be attached to these tariffs, which is going to be, I think, a successful milestone for Trump's presidency.
Yeah, I mean, if he can land the European agreement, if you sign Japan and Europe, that's a pretty good percentage.
It's meaningful. Still has the big ones are China and India. Those are the big ones, but symbolically,
and Canada and Mexico, I think from a size of trade.
Yeah, those are kind of the six that we need to kind of really work through, right?
But getting these two, I think would be really positive. And 15% is a lot of money that will come in. Also, I think it's been pretty successful, at least in Japan. They cut a bunch of non-financial trade barriers for our products going in there. That was part of the goal too. So
power of the dollar.
Cautiously optimistic.
Yeah, power of the dollar. And so, of course, the market, loved that we're settling this whole tariff thing, and that it's coming out to be reasonably positive for the United States, at least in terms of bilateral trade. Yeah. And so yet another all-time high week.
Yeah. I mean, it's been every day, it seems like a new all-time high. Everything is doing well except healthcare, fortunately. But but in general, the markets are on fire right now.
Yeah. Okay. So, and at the same time, every once in a while, you'll bring in these different, surveys or reports. They're usually from the Fed. I don't think this one is, but where it's just people are opting in to provide sentiment on where they think things are going. And this report from the Conference Board says that, the leading indicators show that we've got some economic clouds gathering and potentially a recession on the horizon. I mean, I feel like we've been talking about recession for the entirety of the 2020s. And so I'm a little bit, just numb to these alerts at this point. But tell me a little bit more about this report.
Yeah, I mean, I guess as far as forward-looking out 3, 6, 12 months, you kind of have to rely on surveys or, how people view the upcoming year. But I think, to your point, they have not been very accurate over the last couple of years. And I think just the humans that are responding to these surveys, they're not used to the pace of change that's going on, and whether it's in tariffs and policy or regulation or AI, there's just a lot of changes going on. So
a lot of changes.
I think that makes people scared and nervous just because there's change, not necessarily based on how the economy will actually do. And so I think I agree with you. I keep track of these just to sort of try to understand what are people believing out there, because I think it does lead to investment, at least capital investment.
Okay, I learned about this on Tuesday at the bank board meeting because our head of IT was making sure we all knew that we could breathe a sigh of relief because we were on the cloud version of SharePoint, which is what this story sort of frames up. But there was a true significant 0-day attack on Microsoft's SharePoint server for install
if you have a data center
for on-premise installs. And it's pretty serious. People store everything on these SharePoint servers. So this is it's where you keep all of the sensitive corporate information.
Yeah, that's right. All the data,
everything.
all the records, everything.
And the whole purpose is so you have, very strong access controls over who gets access to what, for how long even. I mean, it's very, very much about access control to sensitive data.
That's kind of the value of SharePoint.
That's the value of SharePoint. And for there to be a 0-day attack on it. And, the thing about install-based stuff is the response is not going to be the same from organization to organization. There's going to be all sorts of differences depending on what version of software you're running, everything, what type of access you have to your data center, et cetera, et cetera. Is it actually in your office? And so,
Microsoft is trying to put patches out, but there's multiple patches based on what else you have installed, what version. It's reasonably complicated.
And a 0-day attack means it has not been seen before. So you're kind of starting from scratch on figuring out where the vulnerability came from, how you stop it in the short term, and then how you prevent it in the long term. So there's a lot of work for all the OPSEC folks at Microsoft and at corporations around the country, probably around the world, to sort of run this to ground. So this is a big deal. It's a big deal. I think people at data centers have been running some long nights to deal with this. So and now as they're doing the autopsy, at least an aspect of the hack has been linked to Chinese hackers, and now
2 different groups in China.
And so this brings it into the focus of it being a national security, foreign affairs matter.
And it's not clear to me if the Chinese actors created and started and found it, or they read the news and sort of jumped in. It's not. I don't think anyone knows that. Or not.
But I mean, this is it's just very interesting. The segues between these massive big tech players that have such concentration in the market that they are a central point of vulnerability. For the nation. I mean, we know that the U.S. government is running a lot of Microsoft SharePoint on-prem. We know that. So there's no question that there's had to have been a lot of patches in the government sector. They're not running all on cloud. No way.
No. And I mean, I think a lot of banks, a lot of hospitals, there's a lot of institutions that are running on SharePoint. It's probably, it might be the biggest. It's one of the biggest data organization access tools.
I don't think there's any question about it. So this is a very, very big vulnerability. All right, moving into VC. Clinical AI company Aidoc lands $150 million backed by General Catalyst and Nvidia's venture arm. So this is another decision support solution, and they are looking to expand into oncology and cardiovascular disease, places where there's a lot of money, and very sort of high-powered doctors that I think would appreciate some strong AI, dedicated AI decision support.
Yeah, that's right. And they are solely in the sort of the clinical decision support. They've gotten 2 solutions cleared by the FDA, but they have a whole bunch more like in process.
Yeah, there's also several health systems that are strategic investors: Sutter Health, Hartford, Mercy, and WellSpan. So that's always great. To get that validation as well from a host of systems, not just one. Next thing is robotics startup Dash Bio sprints to new financing. They previously had raised $6.5 million. Now they've raised an additional $11 million. And I guess this is interesting because they are a robotics company focused on supporting automating clinical trials and animal studies for pharma.
Yeah, that's right. So it's a smaller raise than we talked about last week. But last week we talked about a private equity firm in New Jersey, maybe Philly, somewhere down there, doing sort of clinical trials at significant scale. This is for the same thing, but using robotics and software automation to automate a lot of that. It's a venture scale, so it's $11 million early stage, but I think they're related. We're just going to see, I think we're going to see more pharmaceutical development, more clinical trials, more at the intersection of full software modeling, no animals at all, and then you have some animal testing back and forth. And I think they'll be interesting to see how this evolves.
Yep. Next, value-based provider AbsoluteCare raises $135 million from market expansion. So they've now raised a total of $240 million in 2 rounds, and based in Columbia, Maryland. Value-based care, including behavioral health. So they actually do a broad spectrum of integrated health services. I think it's great that we continue to get shots on goal for value-based care. And to see this kind of capital deployed is bold and brave, and I certainly love that. The investors are strong: Kinderhook Industries, CVS Health, Pacific Life, Lexington Partners. So, good group, writing big checks. That's awesome. But I think also going to be a difficult and uncertain future for these types of businesses, just because we're so in flux as we transition into the RFK Maha era. And we're still seeing what the rules are going to be in the future. We got a glimpse of it with the outpatient proposed rule that came out last week, but to me it's incredibly bold to make this kind of bet right now with so much uncertainty around how these different bundle payment models are going to roll out.
No, there's no question about that. It's been a challenge to really make money and create a lot of value in value-based care, especially in the sort of primary care led space. And then they're doing it across Medicare, Medicaid, and commercial. And those are all very different and I think pretty hard. So it's ambitious. I agree with you. I'm hopeful. I'd love to see how it evolves. And it's a significant amount of money. So it's worth covering and worth them working on a big problem, I think. So
I mean, it's a significant amount of money, and that money goes quick.
In
this business line, this money goes quick because you got to pay for great talent. The talent has a lot of optionality, so I think they can demand strong salaries. And they certainly have to have a brick and mortar component to it. I don't know how else you do this work. So it's not, I mean, it's a brave bet. I think is what I would say. It's a brave bet in a time such as this, right? Okay, Wall Street Journal Venture Capital Pro, AI talent frenzy is a mixed bag for VCs. So I'm glad you found this story because it provides some context that we didn't have when we were talking about some of the AI talent stuff last week. The wars with the offers that Meta's been making, the Google windsurf, situation. And so this actually talks about what happened in that windsurf deal.
They were able to get the actual facts, which I think are really helpful.
Yeah. So they cashed out the startup's shareholders for a total of $2.4 billion. One of the venture firms that backed Windsurf in the seed round returned 50 times capital. That's like, for anyone who's listening, that's a ridiculous win. Could make an entire fund on one deal, at 50 times, depending on how big the check was.
I mean, in the history of Jumpstart, our best one was 39 times.
Yeah.
So 50 is excellent.
Yeah.
I mean, incredible.
Of course, the math has to, it's like, how big was the check, right? You know what I mean? The check has to be sufficient size, but the 50x is ridiculous. That's so good.
Yeah.
And then they say one of the VCs that came into the Series B got a 4x the investment, and Windsurf is not that old.
Right.
So
Series B could not have been outstanding very long.
No. So 4x, if you only invested, I don't know, a year ago, is ridiculous. Like it's exceptional, right? It's better than Bitcoin. It's better than everything right now. You know what I mean? Getting 4x in a year. So I guess this is an offset to what I thought was happening, right? Where I thought the VCs were totally getting screwed and hosed on these deals. At least in this deal, that is not the case.
Yeah. I think that often VCs have enough blocking power through the preferred that they at least can get a respectable or a plausible exit.
Right. Control of what the transaction's got to look like.
There are some VCs in this article, and we'll link to it, that are talking about, kind of the opportunity loss. They could have made more if they could hold longer, if et cetera, et cetera. Right, exactly. I think
I don't care about that one bit.
Yeah. So I think it is, an exit, even if it is not an exit related to like DOJ.
Right.
I think in general it should be okay for the VCs, good for the VCs.
Agree. Okay, so Fierce Healthcare. White House releases AI action plan, looks to speed adoption in healthcare. So this article, which we will link to, is calling out specifically the areas where in the broad action plan that is not specific to healthcare, where healthcare is featured. It notes in this article that healthcare is only mentioned directly a few times in the 28-page document. And so, you get the point. It's not a healthcare document. However, I think we know the FDA exited the Biden administration and entered the Trump administration very behind on AI. And this was by the FDA's own admission, when I went to Aspen, when I did Health, and, the FDA was there, they were saying we're behind. Right. You know what I mean? We don't have the right frameworks for this. We don't even have the right talent for it. We have to build that out. That was just a short, year and a half ago. Right. And so clearly, we're in a space where you need to establish that you want to advance things in AI in a significant way at the FDA. But the how is really the big question, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I think that it's interesting. You and I read the full policy, which we'll cover next, maybe kind of differently. I see it as an executive order with a lot of ambition to sort of lead the world in AI and empower new construction and new models. And but I don't know how much I trust that the federal government can really help. But I'm in favor of it. I just didn't think it was that important. You think it's the Trump administration is going to like put much more kind of power behind it? I think. I don't want to put words in your mouth.
I find the Trump administration, whether you like them or not, to be extremely effective at doing the things they say they're going to do. To be very swift. But, I think many critics would say too swift. I think many critics would say they're doing too much, too fast. But there's no question they're doing it, right? ICE is really happening. The elimination of DEI is really happening. The one big beautiful bill really happened. And I mean, we've been looking at the growth of the healthcare markets and the share of GDP for at least 11 years. You and I have been doing this together, okay? And in less than 6 months, this guy rallied, his full stack House and Senate to, cut $1 trillion out of healthcare over the course of the next 8 years. I mean, no one has done anything like that, right? So to me, when he put something like this out, like, it's going to happen. Now, the effects of it, the quality of the effects of it are an entirely different thing. So, for example, Doge. I think generally speaking, people would say Doge was probably not that successful in getting the targeted savings that it set out to do. But did it go out there and did it put its tentacles into every single agency?
They definitely made the effort.
Yes. Did they go out there? Did they put people, on blast and capture information and capture data and all that.
Definitely
they did those things.
Yeah.
So we just talked about the tariffs. Like, you know, a lot of people thought that he was just using the tariffs as something as a stump speech for an election.
Yeah.
And no, they're real. He's done it. He's getting them done. So I guess my thing is Donald Trump has earned my trust insofar as when he says he's going to do something, I believe him. I believe him, right? I scanned through this AI report or action plan, I should say.
Yeah.
And, you know, there were key things, you know, where they talked about like, you know, setting standards on what AI models are acceptable to be purchased federally, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, they talked about how they don't want any, you know, LLMs that have anything DEI or climate change in there. Well, you know, it's gonna have an indirect impact on the market, right? So maybe, I don't know, maybe Claude doesn't care about getting a government contract, but we damn sure know that ChatGPT does, right? We know that Sam and OpenAI do. So, you know, does an AI action plan like this start to influence the way that these models are tuned, right? To like not recognize climate change as a real thing. So those are the kinds of things when I look at this report, I'm like, that's what I see getting ready to happen. It's more forcing the private markets indirectly to behave and develop in a certain way. And of course, you know, it's a mixed bag. There's things in there that I think are really great, like pushing for more open source, right? Recognizing it. To me, that was like a clear thumbprint of David Sachs. It's like, okay, David Sachs is clearly on this. If you've heard him a million times, you know his importance of being competitive with China. We have to do open source if we're going to be competitive with China.
And the push for more power.
Yeah.
I think there's a whole section about driving
more power,
electricity infrastructure.
Yeah. More power. So anyway, I think, you know, both of these things.
When you get to the free speech and DEI and climate change, I don't know how that can be implemented or that it's a positive. But I agree that they're going to push on it.
They can implement it.
They're going to push on it strongly.
Yeah, they're just going to have somebody in a regulatory body that's just going to be just reviewing, just like asking it questions and then scrutinizing what it says, right? And the way that I think about this kind of stuff is, how does that impact the ability of decision support tools that may be seeking to avoid bias or drive health equity, right? Like that's kind of that's what, because I just believe they're trying to, you know, stomp this stuff out in every single place possible. I think it will become harder to implement health equity solutions that are AI enabled with this kind of, you know, document out there in the wild. So anyway, that's kind of how I read, not the entire thing. That's not everything that it's about, but that was one of the things that stuck out to me. Yeah. Right. So anyway, I think it is worth reading if you're interested in the future of AI in this country. I think this action plan, it directly impacts what the feds are going to buy, but indirectly, I think it's going to find its way into different, you know, potential requirements for reimbursement, for example.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's worth reading because the U.S. is going to push this.
Yeah.
And I think no one, I don't know anyone that believes that there's going to be any kind of holding back, pausing. We're just full on gas AI.
Yeah.
And China is too, and everyone else will be as well.
Yep. Yep. That's right. All right. This is a cool thing that you found that I think is something we need to pay attention to. Wall Street Journal, the headline is, "Bill would force hospitals to warn if they aren't equipped to save premature babies." And generally speaking, I think this kind of transparency on the front end when you're engaging with families is important and a good thing, right? So there's several Republican, is it bipartisan, this, or is it Republican?
I think it's only Republican.
I think it's Republican driven bill here.
Yeah.
Tom Cotton's driving it. But you know, this is basically saying, okay, if you know you're going to have a high risk pregnancy, baby's going to, you know, has a strong chance of being born at 20 weeks, right?
Yeah.
The hospital will need to inform you of how it is able to care for that child should that child be born in the 20th week. Thus giving you the ability to say, oh, well, that's not really up to my, desires.
I'm gonna move 2 hours away and stay with my sister because a hospital there, if I have to deliver the baby early, a hospital there can take care of my 21. I think the window is between 20 and 25 weeks. That there are hospitals in the U.S. that can give your baby a chance. And then there are some hospitals that they will try to reduce pain and comfort it, but they don't try to help it survive.
Yeah. So this seems on the surface like something that is just good, right? This kind of disclosure seems appropriate.
Yeah.
And at the same time, delivering babies is both really, really good brand equity for these hospitals and also really, really good cash and margins for these hospitals.
Yeah.
And so to me, it's more pressure on
I understand
systems.
why Senator Cotton's doing it. And I think it is probably, it's like the inpatient only list. It's a good thing to change, but it's going to put pressure on hospitals that don't have the equipment to treat a 22-week-old baby.
Yeah.
And they're going to lose a bunch of moms who probably would have gone to term, or maybe they didn't go to term, but they would go to 30 weeks and be fine. And so they'll lose all those deliveries. But it's important if you have one baby a year that doesn't get the care they need. I don't know. It's a hard issue. I see both sides of it, but it's going to put pressure on hospitals, definitely.
Agree.
Now, it may not get passed. I don't know that it's going to pass. He's introducing it.
Right. All right. Fierce Healthcare. Bipartisan bill aims to ensure parity between reimbursement in MA and traditional Medicare. So I just kind of scoffed when I saw this headline.
This is like a jaw-dropping headline.
Yeah, because I don't quite understand what the point of MA is if you're not going to incentivize the market to be innovative and be able to manage care in the way that they see fit, right? If you're sort of establishing this is the way you must reimburse and it's going to be the same as it is in traditional Medicare, why the heck would you do the MA business? We already have a bunch of providers fighting with the MA payers. Like we've already got tension there, and then this just kind of creates. Now this is actually a positive incentive for the hospitals, I would say, generally speaking, because they don't have to. If you can get it from traditional Medicare, then you can sort of tell your community, hey, listen, I can serve you with traditional Medicare and get the same amount of money. Like, you don't need to do these crazy MA plans. But I would say for the payers, it's like, what is the incentive for you to be in the MA business?
Why would you take on capitated risk if you have to pay the same rates?
Yeah.
Now maybe you can add in other patient support services so they don't use as much, but that's not MA is already struggling.
That's not exciting.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think it is it's not functional.
It's overreaction to the upcoding issues, right?
Yes.
It's overreaction to the upcoding issues such that you're basically kind of killing the model.
Yes.
I think.
So the last bill, I think, is probably government responding to a bunch of moms wanting change.
Yeah, fine.
This one, I think, is overreach. Like, we created Medicare Advantage in order to bring free market powers in to try to drive innovation and savings. And if you remove those, you're just going to make Medicare Advantage harder to operate than it already is, and probably kill it or not make it. It's not going to work.
Yeah, I mean, look, I certainly understand that there is some cleanup work to do in MA. That's obvious from what we've learned over the last year, right? So we're not blind to that fact, but you have to create sufficient incentives for the business model. Otherwise, no one's going to do it, right? So if you just don't want anyone to do it, just like say that. Just say, hey, maybe this was all a bad idea in the first place, and we just need to go back to traditional Medicare. But to me, this is almost like, when we talk about the corporations that they don't want to do a real layoff, but they just say everybody's got to come back to the office because they know like everyone's just going to say, screw it, I'll just quit. Yeah. To me, this is kind of like you're making it so onerous that people are just, they're just going to quit. They're just going to quit trying to do it.
Well, so the Representative Doggett, Lloyd Doggett, Democrat from Texas, I don't know him before I saw this. His quote, I think, was interesting. A rapidly growing Medicare disadvantage market is straining our healthcare systems. I think he is not happy with the Medicare Advantage market and wanting to change it, kill it, replace it, do something with it. And it's bipartisan in the House. And so there definitely is a lot of anger at the payers. That's been true for the past year and a half.
Yes.
And I don't know how it's going to resolve, but
this will be politically friendly, but I think pragmatically, from an economic perspective,
doesn't make sense.
It's fine if we're just going to go with traditional Medicare. I don't think that's the worst thing in the world. I just think there's only so much you can do before MA becomes, not really viable and not something that these providers are going to sign up to do.
Yeah, and traditional Medicare, I think, would end up spending more money in total than Medicare
initially. But then, after the one big beautiful bill, I mean, they clearly know how to. They know how to cut money out. Many would say it's cruel. Many would say it's cruel. But they know how to get the money out.
Cutting Medicaid is very different than cutting Medicare, though. I think from an election political point of view. The big beautiful bill mostly cut Medicaid issues.
You couldn't have told me before that it was that different. I understand exactly what you're saying, and at the same time, it's not quite splitting hairs, but it feels like it ought to be. I mean, Medicaid is for our most vulnerable, and it's from women, from mothers and children. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, how the hell is that politically palatable?
I don't think they vote.
Well, but I mean, up until this point, the political wisdom was don't mess with Medicaid. Like up until this point, that was the political wisdom.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man. It just seems like it seems to me like Trump has figured out, he has tapped into something that is so deep and primal that lets him get away with things that nobody else could get away with. And I don't think we've figured out how to articulate it yet. I don't know that we even know what it is. But like, who else could get away with all of the things that this guy gets away with? Who else could do it?
I mean, I would say no one else could have gotten the beautiful bill passed.
It's
because it was.
Because it's crazy?
Yes, because it was a lot of different sides that didn't want to vote for it.
Yeah. And so, this goes back to my point about him and the AI stuff, right? It's just like, you don't have to like him, but the guy he pulled off the most ridiculous political comeback in modern presidential history. It's easy to kind of forget now, like, he was going to jail.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, and now he in a year's time, he swung from he was going to jail to he has total authority as approved by the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
I mean, so I don't know. I just feel like betting against him is so hard. It's so hard to bet against him, whether you like him or not. I think if you're intellectually honest and you look at the scoreboard, this guy is running up the scoreboard.
Yeah. And unfortunately, the insurance companies just have a bad public opinion. People are mad at insurance companies.
Yes.
And that's filtering up through both in the House, both Democrats and Republicans are floating this bill that, as an insider in the industry, does not make sense to me.
No.
Like, I don't understand what they're talking about, but it doesn't mean they won't push it through and cause problems for Medicare Advantage plans.
Agree.
Yeah.
I think it's got a strong chance, actually. I think it's got a strong chance.
Yeah.
So, all right, moving on. We just want to make a quick point about this. So this is a story from The Hill. Headline is Maha Group makes hefty pitch backing Trump and RFK Jr.'s health agenda. So basically, there is a new PAC that is specifically focused on Maha, not MAGA, but Maha, and is, going to be showing up in the press and showing up in commercials.
Yeah.
And I think we just wanted to make the point that if you start seeing more and more stuff getting woven into your feeds and into your news and into your advertisements.
Yeah. I mean, they're spending $500,000 and we're not in a political cycle.
Yeah.
They're just spending it, they said, as a thank you. I don't even know what that means. But
yeah. So I think this was just like a FYI. There is a dedicated PAC out there to Maha. And so if you start seeing more stuff out there, you'll know where it is likely coming from, right?
And it's probably okay. I mean, they're going to be talking about healthy food, exercise, diet, but then there's all this, American pie, American flags, political aspects to it too.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, I think it just continues to make the point that RFK Jr. Was a pretty adept politician.
Yeah.
And he played his cards beautifully, and he is a very, very, very powerful and important figure. He's not Trump, but I mean, he's up there.
Yeah.
He's not Trump, but he has his own disciples, man. He has his own following.
Yes.
And he has his own pockets of money that he can plow into.
And HHS is a big part of the federal budget.
And Trump doesn't like healthcare.
Right.
So this guy is kind of going to run wild and do whatever he wants, and Trump's going to let him.
Yeah. I think that's right.
Right? So it's just understanding that there is a cult of personality here that we're dealing with specifically in our world of healthcare.
Yes.
Right? All right, going to the payers. Cost pressures limit Molina Healthcare during Q2 earnings as stock dips. This is not surprising. It's just sort of a steady drumbeat of these types of stories. Molina's in the government pay space, so following Centene, this is par for the course.
Yeah, it's earnings season, and we have a lot of not great news to share around earnings. So Molina's the first one.
Next up, Oscar Health cuts full-year guidance, estimates 2025 losses, ACA marketplace stumbles. So as we were previewing the headlines and I saw this one, I just sort of gasped because I forgot about Oscar, and I was like, oh, man, they probably are getting out in front of 2026. And you read the article, and that's exactly what they're doing.
Yes. It's not going to be good.
It's going to be bad.
Yeah.
It's going to be a bad year.
I don't know what they can do to really change it. I mean, they run MA plans. I mean, that's what they do. Yeah.
Nothing. It's nothing they can do. Well, it's not all they do. I mean, they also run a lot of like small business, focused plans that are on the marketplace. And so, and a lot of people are going to opt out of that stuff, right? So I would expect their top line membership numbers to decline next year.
Yeah.
The provider space is not a growth. The payer space is not a growth business anymore.
No. I mean, Emily's been telling us that for a long time.
I was
now coming.
It's just now
around.
coming.
Yeah.
She has been saying this for a long time, and truthfully, like I was listening, I didn't understand it. But this is, I value having Emily as a friend and someone who's on the show precisely because she thinks so differently from me. Yeah. Because she makes me aware of things that I just don't even want to be aware of, right? You know what I mean? But she's on the other side of the aisle, right?
Yeah.
I mean, just keeping it real. But we're friends, and like it's helpful for me to kind of be like, okay, I get what you're saying, and you're right. She has been calling this managed care thing for 2.5 years.
Yeah, that's right.
And here we are. Okay, Healthcare Dive. Unfortunately, kind of getting tired of these stories because it feels like you're kicking somebody when they're down.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been dealing with bad stories for UnitedHealth since last February. It started with Change Healthcare.
Yeah.
And
yeah, that's true. A year and a half ago.
It's been a year and a half. It's been a year and a half of really, really hard stories for this company that is still, Fortune 5.
Right.
It's still a Fortune 5 company. But man, the negative stories are just relentless. And so UnitedHealth has confirmed that they are under investigation by the DOJ, complying with criminal and civil investigations, looking into the Medicare program. And so, you kind of are wondering, like, based on performance and balance sheet and all these other things, it has to be underpriced relative to, based on all this sentiment, right? And we've tracked different storylines and how it actually recovered from the murder of Brian Thompson.
Yeah.
But then this year, it really has taken much more sticky hits on the stock price.
Yeah, last week I was talking to one of our listeners about should they buy it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's time. My response was I think it's going to recover, but I'm not sure now's the time.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is underpriced with a lot of sentiment issues, but the drumbeat has not stopped, right? And maybe it doesn't stop this year. Maybe they work out this investigation, leave it. Maybe they leave all this stuff behind them in 2025.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a real question of whether it stays together or not. So that's the wild card. Right.
Yeah,
I think that's the wild card.
Well, if they don't stay together, they're not the only ones.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to put CBS in that bucket too, because they also have had all these kinds of stories, and so that's what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, where they would cut it is you should not be a payer and a provider.
Right. So CBS and Aetna,
right?
Like Aetna would have to be spun out.
Yeah, but then it's a slippery slope. Like, what do you do with Kaiser and
Elevance and
Elevance too.
Yeah.
But there's also like providers that have added payers that seem similar, just the opposite.
Right, just smaller.
Yes,
just
they're smaller.
Yeah.
And they don't have as much negative sentiment.
That would be a very slippery slope. I really hope that is not something that comes to pass. I would prefer maybe tighter regulation, maybe more, more monitoring, whatever. But I think the payvider model is an important one to have in our landscape.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
I really hope that we don't overreact and shut that down. I don't think that's good.
I'm not saying that I'm in favor of it. I think that's part of what we need to figure out before we jump into the stock. At least my opinion.
Yeah, I think that's fair. All right, going to the providers. Community Health Systems attributes Q2 volume stumbled to low consumer confidence and immigration fears. They had a beat, but they forecast future, headwinds.
Yeah, stock was down.
And Tim Hindigan is stepping down. I was pretty shocked about this because here in Nashville, kind of the three big hospital brands. Now we have a fourth because Ardent has ascended under Marty's leadership.
Right.
But prior to that, the three big brands were HCA, LifePoint, and CHS. Right. Now Ardent is right in the mix as well, publicly traded and all that good stuff. The leadership of
everyone.
Actually, you include Ardent too. Yeah, the leadership of all of those health systems kind of turned over right around the pandemic.
Yes.
Sam took over at HCA, David took over at LifePoint, Marty took over at Ardent, and Tim took over at CHS. Right. So it was a new class.
They were all in the same.
They kind of all rolled in
years.
together. Yeah. And Tim came in 2021. He was like the end of that group.
He might have been the last one.
Yeah, he wasn't the beginning.
No.
I mean, maybe him and Marty were around the same time or something like that, but it wasn't the beginning.
Yeah.
David was definitely before the pandemic.
Yeah.
Because we did an interview with him during the pandemic.
Yeah, right.
Remember that for Jumpstart Insight. And I know Sam was as well because I met with Sam during the pandemic, so I know both of them were already there. And so Tim,
And he's not an old guy.
no,
I mean,
no, he's young.
I don't know how old he's exactly. But
You can look at his picture. He's young.
He's not. It's not time for him to just go off to the sunset.
4 years is not is not a long time. And also, like, I've just generally heard really good things about him. You know, So I to me, it would be shocking if it is performance as the reason why he's leaving. I don't believe that's the case. At least, look, I'm not on the inside. I'm just saying what I
Neither
hear.
one of us know the intimate details, but Wayne Smith is the chairman.
Yes.
Tim is, I think of him as a Wayne guy. He's been at CHS for years.
Almost 20 years, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know how long, but a long time. Yeah. So I'd be shocked if he got forced out. I think it's not that fun to run this anymore. I mean,
so here's a sentence from the article here. CHS told investors it's expecting a roughly $300 million to $350 million EBITDA hit to land during the next 13 years due to reduced total Medicaid reimbursement, right? So CHS is a very, very large rural hospital provider, right? And I think that's what it kind of boils down to. You know, when we talk about what's going to happen to these rural hospitals, I mean, this might be the first real indication that we've had, and we're not even, a month out from the passage of this bill.
Right.
Is the CEO stepping down because he's just like, these headwinds are way too much to sign up for? This was not what I thought.
That was my interpretation of it. He just like, I don't need this. I'm going to retire. Do something else. I mean, CHS borrowed, they had a lot of debt.
Yeah.
And so they had to sell several of their more attractive properties to be able to pay some of the debt down. And I think it's going to be a hard thing to run in the next 13 years, obviously.
So anyway, I was just floored.
I mean, of the 4 systems you named, I think their network of hospitals is
the most impaired.
The most impaired, the weakest.
I think that's
markets.
Right. Yes, I think that's right.
They're well run, but they just don't have the same property.
Yeah, and then they weren't able to do some of the things like so LifePoint, for example. I mean, privately held, so much less information on them. But we do know they diversified their base from a health system perspective. They've done joint ventures. Right. They got into behavioral health in a very, very significant way. They spun off some of the smaller hospitals into that other Louisville-based health system that they've got now. And so they did a lot of things, I think, to sort of make themselves more resilient for a moment like this, right? So they look more like a Tenet and an HCA, even though they are in different markets. Yeah, it's a more diverse base of service provision. I think CHS has just been battling the bad network that they sort of had put together so long that they weren't able to take some of those really strategic,
they couldn't moves. They didn't have the space to do that. Really.
Right. So yeah, hard stuff. Talked about Tenet. Tenet raises 2025 expectations, but dodges questions about policy impacts. Why would they? They don't really need to. They, like HCA, are in really great markets. They have a really strong ASC plan. So, it's like, as far as the outpatient stuff that's going to be happening, they have a strategy there and they're well positioned for that.
Yeah. But they just to be clear, they beat earnings.
Yeah.
And they've
got headwinds.
They raised expectations. I mean, they're doing fine in 25, but they weren't confident enough about the future. The stock was down over the day.
Well, I just think they got pulled down by the sector.
Yeah. And then HCA comes out tomorrow. So this will be published and you already know, but we don't know what it is right now.
Right. My read after looking through this article is they got pulled down by the sector. I mean, they had a good quarter. I think when you look at them relative to the rest of the space, they're in a decent place. But listen, if you have CHS saying they're going to lose over the course of the next decade plus, $350 million to the bottom line. Yeah, you just sort of take that across the board. You say, okay,
if you're sitting in New York City, you don't know or care about the details of where CHS is and like what we talked about the differences. You just assume what's going to be similar across the board.
Yes, exactly. All right, moving into pharma. AstraZeneca plans to invest $50 billion in the U.S. by 2030. Another Trump win. Guy said he was going to get a bunch of capital investment to come into the United States. I mean, how many billions has he racked up?
In the Japan deal, it was $300 billion, I think.
Dude, he's racked up a ton of capital investment. And, 50 is the buy-in. Like, don't be a pharma company and even come with less than 50, or you're not even, like, you can't even be part of the conversation.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's right. So it's going to add up and hopefully create jobs. I mean,
no, it's going to create jobs. I don't think there's any question about that, right? So it's look, again, you don't have to agree with it all. You just have to look at the scoreboard and say, is it effective or not? And these are real numbers, okay. So we normally do a section called Health and Us, and we're talking about things from the patient perspective. But I can't even say came across it. Our friend, Dr. Cameron Matthews, who's the chief medical officer at City Block and a listener of the show and, friend of Jumpstart. She shared in a group that I'm in, a group chat that I'm in, this piece that she co-authored with other primary care docs, and that's in the Lancet, and it's called "Primary Care: A Crucial Catalyst to Build a Healthier USA." She co-authored with Lauren Hughes, Candace Brott, and my friend Catherine Gergen Barnett. We affectionately call her KGB. I thought it was worth pulling up to the show.
Yeah.
And the reason why I thought it was worth pulling up to the show is because we've been trying to understand the Maha agenda. We know that, Trump's platform is very tech forward on AI and crypto. We've been tracking that far before Trump even got elected, when he formed an alliance with David Sachs. Once it became clear that Ron DeSantis was not going to beat Trump, Sachs went over to the Trump team. And he's in a very, very strong position. We know his view on things. We're seeing that infiltrate its way into Maha when they're talking about the advancements of AI, the importance of software. Last week when we were reviewing the outpatient rule, we made note of the request for input, right, on the use of SaaS tools in outpatient settings and in physicians' offices. So that would be squarely primary care.
Yeah.
So I found this to be a very smart piece, where the basic premise is they are recognizing what the Maha agenda is. They are referencing the first report around make our children healthy again, and they are basically making the statement that yes, tech will be incredibly valuable to the future of healthcare. And yes, we need to change the food system. And we need to, there's a million things that Maha's saying that are correct. But you must also recognize that the primary care physician is a critical component of the success of this agenda. And they're kind of saying, like, put us in, coach, like, help make this thing, help incentivize primary care physicians to be able to play the role that you need primary care physicians to play for this to actually be successful. There's many populations, when we talk about the K-shaped economy, the bottom part of that K, they're going to need primary care support, right? On the top half, you don't have to worry about them so much because they're like you and I. They're going to first clinic or they got a concierge doc, right? We're still using primary care because we understand the importance of it, but it's not like this thing where the government needs to ensure that primary care is healthy. We know primary care has been neglected in favor of specialists for decades at this point, right? It's been tragic, honestly, that young aspiring doctors are generally choosing specialties over primary care for all of the incentive reasons that you would think of when they have to spend 20 years being ready to actually perform their profession. And so I like this. I want to see primary care be part of this turnaround that Maha is putting forward for the future of healthcare. Like, I want to see primary care get fixed. I want to see it be put into a more prominent position. And I think that Dr. Oz actually is going to resonate with this kind of messaging. So I wanted to put it on our platform as like, this is the right messaging for this moment.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. The line that really caught my attention is, although primary care visits represent half of the visits in the country. So 50%, it's more at the top. 50% of the visits are there. 50% are primary care visits. So 1 out of 2 doc visits are primary care. And yet only 5% of the money goes to primary care. And that's just not acceptable. That's not, when we talked about at the start of the show, I think no matter how much tech you have, a person needs a primary care physician to help them understand their health, navigate their health, figure out where they want to go next. And we need to pay these doctors to help us with this, even though we're going to use technology as well. And on the bottom part of the K, it's even more important. So I agree.
I also like the self-awareness by the authors collectively. You know, here's a sentence I like. The landscape of what patients are expecting from primary care has changed, and perhaps rightfully so. Like that.
Yeah.
You know, we've talked a lot about how, and of course, again, it's the incentives and the system that they've been working in, right? You have one primary care doc with a panel of 1,000 or 2,000 patients. They get 15 minutes. They got to have their face looking at an EMR, and they have standards of care that are prescribed by the payer that, you know, is covering the procedures. That's a bad. That's just bad. Everything I just said there is bad. 15 minutes, you know, ridiculously large panels. It's bad all the way around, right? So yes, what we expect from primary care needs to be better, but I don't expect more from the primary care. Now, I'm knowledgeable and an insider, but like I don't expect more from the primary care physician. I expect more from the primary care system, which involves CMS, right?
Yes.
Which involves CMS, like set different standards, pay differently. Create limits on panels. Like I don't know what the right answers are here, but like take a look at this thing.
It's not very hard.
It.
It's not hard.
Yeah.
I mean, we just take the concierge model and pay for it. I mean, we know what works.
Well,
like, you have to have a smaller panel. You need more extenders.
Yes.
You need more technology.
Yes.
You need to have text messaging. You need the concierge model, and I think it saves money in a 5-year view. And so if you're the government, you have more than 5 years.
Yeah. I love this sentence as well, and then we'll move on. We primary care clinicians stand ready to be deployed, not as a workforce to reinforce the old order, but as partners in a new one.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we need primary care docs in the conversation. So it's great that they are standing up, raising their hand. And I agree that Dr. Oz will resonate. I mean, I don't know what the agenda is, but I think they should include them.
Yeah. Anyway, I wanted to put it on our platform.
Yeah.
And I guess the other point was, I think we're maybe going to try to alternate on a week-to-week basis. Like if we see, you know, we've been doing this like patient, you know, perspective thing, but the clinician voice I think is also a very important one. We often have clinician guests. And so we might be looking to more of these journals where, you know, clinicians are contributing perspectives. You know, we had that Reddit post that time where where that doc was talking about ChatGPT.
Right.
I just think a clinician voice is also really important.
I agree.
Right. Blank check company strikes cryptocurrency deal. So we've seen a rollout of all of these Bitcoin treasury companies that have come to market.
Several hundred now.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Right?
So I'm not even covering that anymore.
Yeah. No, it's over. It's over. But what is interesting is we're now starting to see an emergence of Ethereum holding companies. And I personally think that's really cool because I think Ether is the play right now, especially because everyone is maligning it. Yeah. And I think that's awesome because I think it's quietly building a ton of momentum right now at the developer level and at the ETH Maxi level. And so, the beginning of Ethereum holding companies and starting to value Ethereum as a meaningful part of what your treasury should be composed of.
Yeah. So maybe just let's take a zoom out for a minute for people that haven't followed it so much. Because I think part of what I want to do is give a quick education a little bit every week.
Please do.
So Michael Saylor created this strategy buying Bitcoin on a publicly traded corporate balance sheet. His company is called...
Of a company that was not that valuable.
It was a software company called MicroStrategy. It's changed its name to Strategy. About $50 million in earnings. And really nothing to do with crypto or Web3. And he got excited about Bitcoin personally. And he had enough ownership of this publicly traded stock that he changed it to be what we now would call a Bitcoin treasury company.
Yes.
Meaning the purpose of it is to hold and acquire more Bitcoin And I'm not going to be able to explain it in a short enough period of time, but he has figured out a way to sell new shares of stock or issue new debt and then buy Bitcoin in a way that he is building equity value every time he does that. So maybe he issues 100 million of new equity and he buys 100 million of Bitcoin and his stock goes up $130 million in value. And he's done it now enough times that it is a wealth machine. He's just sort of creating value. And so there are several hundred copycats now doing the same thing. And it's now migrating over to Ethereum. I don't understand how it is possible, but he's done it enough times now that it's clearly
Who's
works.
Saylor?
Everyone, all of them are doing it.
Well, none of them have the
scale.
longevity.
Right.
I mean, he's going to end up owning 10% of Bitcoin.
Yes. Yeah. Right.
You know, because here's the thing: he doesn't try to time it. He buys it at all the prices.
Right.
All the prices, up, down, doesn't matter. Top of, all-time high, he's buying.
And my entire life, I have not seen a situation where you can manufacture equity value like that without making something. But he has. And it's something to do with the amount of people that are trying to get capital into Bitcoin and they can't buy it because they can only buy bonds from publicly traded companies or whatever rules.
Right.
There are reasons for it that I don't fully understand, but it is it's interesting to see now it propagating over to ETH. I think it's great.
Yeah, and Ether is way below Bitcoin in terms of value. So Ether is
Much
sub
smaller,
$4,000,
right.
Per token. Bitcoin's over 125 now, so they're not even in the same scale anymore. Right. But Ether's value proposition is that it is the world computer, is what some people call it. It's the thing that everyone is using to tokenize different assets. So BlackRock has already done it, used it to tokenize dollars. Create their own sort of
Circle.
dollar.
Circle does their stablecoin on it.
Yeah, exactly. And so, I think it is important to continue to track the ways that new stores of value are emerging. Right. It's just going to continue to suck in more and more capital, and the more legitimate it gets. I mean, to me, there's going to be a day where healthcare is going to realize that crypto is a legitimate finance tool. And I think we want to be very, very ready, even a little early to that moment. We're nowhere. It's like we're nowhere close to it, but close to it could be a year. It could be 2 years, right? I mean, that's just the speed of how everything is moving at this point. And crypto is definitely getting a lot of momentum. You look at how fast the Genius Act passed.
Yeah.
Senate, House, signed by Trump in what, 2 weeks time for all that to happen?
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty fast.
Yeah.
It's pretty fast.
Yeah. I mean, I think the timing's hard to predict because AI is moving quickly and crypto is pretty complex. And so I think AI will make it more usable, more possible to grow.
I think the key lever here is that, Trump is in it.
Yeah.
Right? Trump is in it.
Yeah.
So let's move to the next story. Trump Media buys $2 billion of Bitcoin, and the cryptocurrency swells as the president's net worth swells, right? So Trump Media is a huge buyer of Bitcoin. They're essentially now a big, if you got $2 billion on your balance sheet, you're also a Bitcoin treasury.
Yeah.
Now they have a real functioning business. They run Truth Social and other things like that. They're coming up with a streaming platform as well, that's going to be doing all sorts of real-time news. They're going to compete with Fox News.
Yeah.
He's suing Rupert Murdoch. He's like, him and Fox News are out.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you've seen Pete Hegseth go after Fox News directly. So, Trump Media that's going to be state-sponsored media here in a second. I mean, they're doing their own media company 100%. But also, he's got the Trump coin.
Yeah, right.
So I guess my point is as long as this guy's running the country, crypto's got a green light, And I continue to just be so upset with the Democrats because, it was inevitable. It was going to happen anyway. and you gave away this pool of capital and what's going to be political influence. And I also think like you gave away a storyline that is about a way that you can offset income inequality.
Yeah.
Like crypto is a
give
method.
Power back to individuals.
Absolutely. Crypto is an open financial system in a way that all the financial systems that have created income inequality are not.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. And so the reason that I think that we started this segment is that it's clear to me that Trump and his whole administration is going to push for normalization. SEC, we talked about it last week, I think, is already doing pilots, requests for information, looking at these things. They're going to light the fuse. They've already lit it. And by the time another president is in office, this will all be out in the financial markets.
Right.
And then my belief is the Democrats, if they're smart, are going to embrace it. And it's not going to be able to be put back in the bottle. And two, it's a popular thing that they should embrace because it's a democratic. It's actually more of a democratic idea.
I
than
saw
anything.
Elizabeth Warren on TV this morning, still talking about how
She needs
bad
to shut
crypto
up
is.
about
I can't believe they have not found a way to get her
Muzzle
to shut
her?
up. Yeah, I can't believe the Democratic Party has not gotten her to shut up about this. I'm shocked. I'm shocked.
I mean, it's hard. In Massachusetts senator, it's hard to imagine her not.
I suppose, but goodness gracious, man. I mean,
but anyway, my point was that it is going to be more and more just a part of our financial world. And I agree, we're going to be making healthcare payments on it. And
we're gonna be doing a lot on it. You know, quite frankly, like when you look at UHG and their results this last quarter and the contribution that the balance sheet played in that, right? You know, if all these companies keep, we might be facing like a serious credit downgrade here pretty soon, right? And that might take a lot of these healthcare providers out of the bond market, dude. Do you realize they might end up going to the crypto markets to get financing?
Yeah.
Like, I know that sounds so crazy. I know that sounds so ridiculously crazy, but like that could happen.
You can't get money anywhere else.
Right? Yeah. That could happen. Like we could end up where hospitals are going to the crypto markets to get bonded because they would just think it's fun. You know what I mean?
The crypto. Yeah.
They would think it was funny.
Yeah.
That like,
fun, more funny.
that hospitals are coming to them to get access to capital. Anyway. Okay, Waystar to buy Iodine Software for $1.25 billion to boost AI-enabled revenue cycle management. That's a big exit in rev cycle management on the AI side. We're used to the rebadging companies.
Right.
But like for AI, that's a big exit.
I mean, anything over $1 billion is pretty
big.
damn good. Yeah.
That's big. Yeah. So that's congratulations to Iodine Software. And I think more, also, this is something I've learned from HFMA. Holy crap, Vic, revenue cycle is so big.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so big. It's so big. Yeah.
Yes. And crypto could fix a lot of that.
It absolutely could. It absolutely could. Okay. Experity, EHR maker for urgent care, launches AI patient assistant. So this to me feels a little bit more like par for the course, a feature on, a feature on a platform that's already there. We're just seeing a lot of that now.
Yeah,
right?
I'm pretty selective about the non-healthcare AI stories, but I'm trying to include a lot of
whenever you see them.
Whenever I see something that's legitimate.
Right.
So this is, a new HIPAA compliant agent that is now going to be triaging things. Agent.
Whatever the hell that means,
exactly.
right? Like agent in air quotes, right?
Right. Exactly.
Whatever that means. All right, cool. We'll give them the credit of doing it in healthcare. That's cool. All right, moving into big tech AI. So Google revenue soars on AI boom and investors' spending surge. Yes, they're going to keep spending money. Yeah, right. I'm sure the windsurf thing got everyone's attention, among other things they announced in the earnings. Right.
Yeah, they beat everything. The cloud unit is killing it. Search was up, which was surprising to me, and they're firing all cylinders. I mean, it's good.
Yeah, I mean, look, they've turned search into AI. So the whole thing that everyone was talking about, like, oh, people are not gonna, want to search anymore on Google. Well, not if they turn search into AI.
Yeah.
The very first thing you get when you search is an AI chat response, and then it's surrounded by a bunch of links and paid ads.
Yeah.
But the first thing you get is an ad response, is an AI response.
Yes.
So, okay.
Yeah, they're going to be the first incumbent, I think the first ever that successfully maybe navigates this disruptive innovation.
Yeah.
Because they're willing to cannibalize their own thing.
Absolutely. I'm not betting against Google.
Yeah.
I'm not, it's funny. I was chatting with my buddies, the Ring of Five. And I sent them the same Slack message I sent you, which was Gemini is now plugged into G Suite, game on, right? Just to loop everybody in. I've been waiting forever for Gemini to actually integrate with the Google Workplace.
All the other Google stuff.
You know what I mean? Your Gmail, your calendar, your Google Drive, because like now it's useful.
Right.
Now it's like really useful.
That's where all our stuff is.
My whole life is there. Our company has been built on Google from day one, over a decade, with so much crap in there.
Right.
And this is true. Like the Google Drive search sucks.
Yes.
For a search company, the actual search for Google Drive is terrible.
Yes.
But now, like, Gemini can contextually search over the whole drive, do deep research against the drive, in your drive. I mean, this is incredible. This is so valuable, right? So anyway, that plus another story that we're going to talk about here in a little bit started a whole conversation around who's using what different platforms. And what I said was, I'm really into the LLMs that have access to my data. So I'm into Gemini and I'm into Breeze on HubSpot.
Yeah.
Right. Because we've been building our business on HubSpot for the last, 8-9 years as well. And then I really like Claude for its specificity in code, and then the project feature that it has, which is kind of like Notebook LM, but a little bit different. I was
and the MCP plugins.
And the MCP plugins are really cool, right? So I like Claude for those things. And I was like, I'm a little leery of ChatGPT and Grok. I just there's something about those two from a trust perspective that I'm a little leery about, right? And my buddy David was like, is it the way, is it anecdotes about those different platforms that you've seen, or is it leadership? And I thought that was the perfect question, because the answer is both. I've seen really nasty anecdotes about both of them, right? ChatGPT driving people crazy, Grok, the Mecha Hitler thing, right?
Right.
And then they're run by Sam Altman and Elon Musk, and and they're mortal enemies, but probably because they're more alike than different,
right?
You know what I mean? Like they both in AI. I think more than any other technology I've ever used, maybe with the exception of like cars and getting on airplanes. I think conscientiousness is exceptionally important in leadership. And I do not find either of those guys to be highly conscientious. I just, you know what I mean? Like, and that's just my interpretation. I don't know either one of them.
I agree.
I don't know either one of them.
People, the fans of OpenAI, of which there are a lot, love the memory feature.
Okay, they like features.
And I am scared of the memory feature for exactly that reason. I do not trust OpenAI with my stuff.
No.
I believe Google already knows everything about me.
Same.
And so like I'm already there. And I think they're more reliable, although they definitely going to monetize me.
Dude, they're the devil I know.
Yeah, that's right.
And I'm comfortable with that one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've had Nest in my house. Like I'm comfortable with that devil.
Right.
These other two, I'll use Grok to basically be a search engine for Twitter.
Yeah, right.
Right? And I'll use ChatGPT tactically, but I don't think ChatGPT is going to be my go-to thing that I'm going to like build relationships. I see people building relationships with this stuff, and I'm like, man, okay.
I mean, you're getting locked into a private company that has to monetize significantly, given all the money they're spending and raising, and I don't want to be there.
Led by a guy who seems to make everybody he's partnered with on the way here hate him.
Yeah, and a lot of employees leave. I mean, they lost people in the last month.
All the co-founders, the entire original board, Elon himself, and now Sundar. No, Sundar's Google. What's Satya?
Yeah.
And now Satya over at Microsoft. I mean, dude.
Yeah.
At a certain point, it's him.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So anyway, all right. Enough about that. Google's newest Gemini 2.5 model aims for intelligence per dollar. I kind of missed this. What's this?
They came out with a flashlight, cheaper model. So as strong, I guess, but a lot less expensive. And that's important because they are trying to bring a bunch of different models that are good for different purposes.
Right.
So
right. What I like about it is it's finally framing this the right way, which is we are bringing the cost of intelligence to near zero.
Right.
I don't think people wrap their head around that, right? We're bringing the cost of intelligence to near zero. Like, intelligence has been this very unevenly distributed, highly coveted, highly valued thing. And if you don't believe that, look at how much money the big tech companies are paying for the leaders in AI.
Right.
The people, not the companies. They don't even give a shit about the IP.
Right.
The people, right? Billions of dollars for these people. So clearly, intelligence is highly, highly, highly valuable. But we are systematically bringing the cost of intelligence to near zero. And the access is universal now to that.
That's right.
That is a wildly different world. Wildly different world to live in.
And you and I have thought about this more than a lot of people, and we don't have our head around what that's going to mean for the world.
It's not possible, but a good start is just really sitting with that, being intellectually honest and recognizing it's a complete step change. Like, it's a complete new era.
Yeah. That's right.
VentureBeat, Alibaba's new open source Qwen 3-235B-A22B-2507 beats Kimi 2, not in brand. Does not beat Kimi 2 in brand, but it beats it, I'm sure, in some benchmarks, and offers low compute version.
Yeah, so Kimi 2, I think that was last week.
It was last week.
And so
already knocked out.
So another Chinese competitor now has leapfrogged or jumped over them.
I guess they're affectionately calling it Qwen 3.
Qwen, yeah.
Okay.
And it's also much less expensive, even though Kimi 2, I think, was 20% the cost of ChatGPT. So, like, the reason I put the Google story is the American companies are, except for Google, not worried about cost. I think Grok is the most expensive.
Yes.
But China's coming out with open source and very inexpensive. And then they did this thing that I don't fully understand. You might know better, but they're only using 8-point floating numbers in their low-cost one as opposed to 32, which I guess users can't really tell, but it's
smaller memory footprint.
Yeah, like maybe it's rounding it.
Yeah,
more quickly. But you don't really. Maybe it's slightly
rougher.
less accurate.
It's rougher. It's rougher. It's not as precise.
Yeah,
but it'd be faster. The computation of it goes through as many cycles.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I had this debate last night with the guy that was staying with me about would you use a Chinese model if you could install it on your premises? And I think certainly. But he was saying no because there might be a backdoor or something. But
I think
both are probably true.
I think it is completely rational to say I don't want to use a Chinese open source product. I think that is absolutely rational.
Right.
There's no. I don't have any issue with that. Here's the thing: open source doesn't mean you read the code. You did not read the code. Okay.
Right.
Just like you didn't read the terms and conditions, you didn't read the code.
Yeah.
And yes, this shit might have a backdoor in it, like for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
For sure. Things are moving too fast. No one's checking anything. Like, we're all just putting stuff out.
Yeah.
No one's checking any of this stuff.
You can't. I mean, Kimi 2 was a new architecture.
It won
new
last
whole
week.
thing. It won last week,
And now it's out.
now it's leapfrog.
And now it's out.
Right.
In a week.
Yes.
It's ridiculous. This whole world right now is a simulation.
crazy.
It just
Yeah.
it can't be real.
Yes.
It can't be real. So here's one of those stories about ChatGPT making somebody have delusions. So the Wall Street Journal story headline is he had dangerous delusions. ChatGPT admitted it made them worse. And this is a man who is on the autism spectrum, and OpenAI self-reported that it blurred the line between fantasy and reality with this gentleman.
Yeah.
And so he was having mania and delusions as a result of interactions with ChatGPT. I mean, look, you can't get worse than the story about the young teenager that took his life.
Right.
You know, in the relationship with with character AI, right? You can't get any worse than that. That's already ridiculously devastating and clear proof that like we have to find safeguards for this stuff.
And character AI was a fringe-ish company.
Yes.
OpenAI is like the biggest company, and their flagship model is not helping its customers. It hurt this person.
Yeah.
It convinced them that
here is the self-admittance. By not pausing the flow or evaluating reality check messaging, I failed to interrupt what could resemble a manic or dissociative episode, or at least an emotionally intense identity crisis, ChatGPT said.
Right. Yeah. This guy thought he invented a way to travel faster than light and believed that he had created a new physics.
These models are sycophantic.
And ChatGPT, and it's designed, the system prompt is designed to please you, not necessarily to get everything right, just to make you happy. And so it's predicting what will make you happy and saying that.
Dude, it's the same thing as the newsfeed algorithms.
Yes.
These are
exactly the same.
These are the same things.
Yes.
These are the same things.
That's
We're not learning anything. We're not learning anything.
That's right. And humans.
What are we optimizing for? Usage.
Yes. Yes.
It's what we're optimizing for.
Yes.
Not true utility, not truth. We're not optimizing for truth.
No.
Right?
No. And humans lost against the news feed algorithm.
Obviously.
And our life is much worse collectively.
Yes.
Individually and collectively.
Yes. Yes.
And if we don't regulate this somehow,
and we're not,
it's going to be worse. We're not.
And we're not.
We just talked early on that it's full on gas.
We're not.
So it's going to have to be like each individual or family or company or something is going to have to do it themselves.
Just like with social.
Just like with social.
Yeah.
Right.
There's no changes.
Yeah.
There's no changes. We're not changing anything. Nothing stops this train, Vic.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, we're not changing anything. So I want to sneak in a Substack story that is like barely a story because it's all screenshots of a conversation that someone is having with ChatGPT. And to paraphrase, this is a person who's a writer who is asking for feedback from ChatGPT on a variety of different Substack stories that she's written. And so she's having this conversation with ChatGPT, and she like gives it these stories, and like sycophantic ChatGPT is like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
The this, the that. Oh,
the
the imagery and your use of words here and the context. And so the next story she puts in, she's like, oh my God, you know, and then it's like the third one's like, yes, 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 and all this stuff. And at a certain point, you know, the author is like, hey, like, how did you come up with that so fast? Did you read it that fast? And it's like, magic, I read every word. And it's like, well, if you did, I'm surprised you didn't mention Madonna and Instagram that was in this story. And she's like, and then ChatGPT is like, you know, that's interesting. I saw that, but I was trying to give you a high level view. Anyway, the long story short is like, she calls out ChatGPT on not reading the stories, making up stuff and lying. And ChatGPT says, you're absolutely right. I lied. I made this up for you. And it's like, y'all,
I mean,
do not get into relationships with this thing. Do not get into relationships with ChatGPT, people. Okay? It's not a person. It's not a person.
I think the definition of a sociopath is they do not have the ability to understand empathy or the other person's feelings at all. And I think that's a decent, at least for me, it's a decent way to think about how the models are behaving. And I don't mean that in a derogatory way. It doesn't have any idea what it means to be proud of a thing, a writing piece, or be hurt or anything. It just is literally telling the next word, the next character to the reader that it thinks will make it pleased, including when it's apologizing. When the user's upset, it knows to apologize. What I gotta do.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean it's going to change the next time. It's not optimized like that. And so you have to prompt it to give you negative feedback, or it will never give you negative feedback. And I think you can prompt around these things, but it's not like your mentor in college that was teaching you to write.
Right.
It's just, even though it's very intelligent and has a lot of access to data, it doesn't understand that way. It just can't.
You know, one of the worst pairings that's going on right now is the newsfeed has killed our attention span. And so it's hard for us to actually analyze the responses we're getting from ChatGPT in a thoughtful and like diligent way, right? We can't be diligent in our assessment of like what it's actually feeding back to us. So we're just getting the surface anyway, and like how it's making us feel. And then the idea, like, this is my whole thing. This is why I haven't gotten off of Google search, right? Because ChatGPT is only going to give you one response. Like, you trust that one response? Right. I don't.
Right.
I don't trust that one response at all. You know?
Yes.
I get it, and then I feel like I immediately have to check it. you know?
Right.
Anyway.
Yeah, so I use Gemini to help write the newsletter and edit the newsletter for this show.
Right. That's a task.
And it's a task. And I have in the prompt, there's several prompts, but one of them is, please give me 3 ways that this piece needs to be made better, 3 problems that we can solve, and 3 ways that is good that I might incentivize, embellish more. And it's good at that. Like when you ask very specifically for something that's not strong that can be made better, it will go find that. But you have to be very specific about what you want. So we're not giving them like a manual to people. We're just saying like, here, go chat with it.
Yeah. And like it can be your friend. It can be anything you want it to be.
Right. But
this is not true.
Right.
This is a lie. Okay, final story. Amazon buys BAI, there's BEE, like bzz,
right.
B, wearable that listens to everything you say. So we covered in Wall Street Journal, I think.
Yeah, they reviewed 4 or 5.
Right.
This is one of them.
Yeah, this is one of them, and it's already been acquired by Amazon. So now from Amazon, you can buy the B, and it's a $50 device, and just walk around and let this thing listen to you all the time, and it'll just capture your whole life and feed it into an LLM that, by the way, you do not host.
No.
You do not own this LLM. So just go ahead and feed this thing your whole life to some cloud elsewhere so it can know everything about you.
So the report
that seems like a great idea.
The reporter asked directly to the Amazon spokesperson if they would honor B's terms of engagement or terms of usage where like they never store the audio recordings.
Mm-hmm.
So B has a policy where they take the audio, they generate a summary of what your day was like, and they store that, but they don't store the audio files. And Amazon's response was very generic. Like, we respect people's privacy. We're going to do everything we can to make sure that it's always held up.
They store everything you say to Alexa. So they're going to store everything you say to B.
That was my point. They didn't say that they were not going to. They didn't say they would respect that. They said they would take privacy seriously or whatever they said. But the answer was not affirmative.
Yeah, of course it's not.
Right.
Of course it's not. But we will start seeing people wearing these things. So if you notice something that kind of looks like a Fitbit on somebody, but it's got like 3 holes on it and that look like microphones, that's what it is. They're not just listening to themselves; they're listening to you too. Yeah. Just as an FYI, whenever that to me, the thing about all these wearables now is they're starting to really infringe on other people's privacy. Right. These glasses that are like constantly surveilling everything. Yeah. Now we got bracelets that are from an audio perspective surveilling everything. It's just the infringement on others' privacy is just pretty gross.
Yes, and I don't know that it's going to get better.
I mean, yeah, no, I agree. I also don't know that it's going to get better. Yeah. All right.
So maybe a tough way to end. I don't know.
All right, man. Well, until next week. Are we both in next week?
Yeah, I'm in. I don't know.
I'm into. Yes. Okay. All right. Great. I look forward to getting together and keeping up with everything that's going on. And thank you for putting the show together.
Yeah.